Hey people, new week and there is a new video, and this week I'm talking about the difference between marker and Bristol paper. So I was at the art supply store last time and I bought some new things from Daler and Brownie, and Bristol paper and marker paper were one of these things. I also bought some new colors from the brand Winston & Newton Pro Marker. Now these are not the brush types, these are just the fine tips and the broad tips. They are two-sided, and these are just some cool colors that I now decided to use for this week's illustration. I also got some other items which I will not be discussing in this video but maybe a next video, and this is a new watercolor that I bought called Ivory Black. It's also from the brand Winston & Newton, and I also bought another color called Perline Violet, and 1, 2, 3, here it is. Now in this video I won't be talking too much, I just wanted to show you what the difference is between the marker and the Bristol paper. Here are the two types of paper that I have. The left side is the marker paper, the right side is the Bristol paper. Bristol paper is very sturdy. It's like a very light type of cardboard type of texture, and it absorbs ink very slowly. Marker paper is a lot less sturdy than Bristol board paper, so it absorbs the ink a lot faster than Bristol paper. Okay, so here I'm starting with the marker paper. Marker paper is the one that I showed on the left side of my hand in the beginning of the video. Very thin, very loose, and it absorbs ink pretty fast. Now in both illustrations I will be using the markers from Winston & Newton called Pro markers, and as you can see already, it doesn't really take much for the paper to absorb the ink. I think I did maybe 2 streaks, 2 lines, and it already absorbs the ink very fast. Now on any of my illustrations I use a lot of markers and a lot of ink. So why would I use marker paper if it absorbs a lot of ink? Now the good thing about this type of marker paper is that the finishing, or let's say the end result of the illustration, is really nice. I don't see a lot of streaky areas. Although it absorbs a lot of ink, the ink really blends well with all the colors that I'm using, and as you know I use a lot of colors. Although in this illustration I'm not using more than maybe 4 or 5 colors. So even though I'm not using that many markers, the end result is really nice because the illustration pops off the paper and it's really vibrant, and those things I really find important in any illustration that I make. So it has a really nice finishing touch, no streaks, and even though it absorbs a lot of ink, it really gives that nice vibrant feel to the illustration. Now, depending on the absorption level of any type of paper that you're using, you might have to go over a certain line or a certain area more than 1 or 2 times. So for the marker paper that I'm using, I tend to go over it several times just to make the color really pop. I'm really not looking at, well, am I using it, is it an efficient way of using it, or am I not using too much ink? Sometimes it helps just to take a little step back and to look at the artwork that you're making to see if it needs more color or not. The fun thing and the good thing about it is that the colors really blend well. I really didn't have to use a blender for this, and I just could start and use the colors on top of each other, and because of the fact that it absorbs ink very well, it also lends itself to blend the colors quite easily. So it looks like a really fun and vibrant type of illustration that I'm making. I use a lot of ink when it comes to markers because I like my illustrations to pop off of the paper. It is also a lot easier for me when it comes to scanning in those documents, and I don't really have to tweak that much when it comes to the color, the saturation, and the vibrancy of my illustrations. So this is the back side of the paper that I use, the marker paper, and what you can see, it doesn't really differ that much from the front. A high saturation level, but also it has a lot of absorption from the ink. So yeah, that might be a disadvantage. However, the great advantage is that it blends very well, meaning the colors blend very well on this paper. I did not use a blender once for this illustration, and that says a lot. I think it is because of the fact that the paper absorbs a lot of ink, and when you use different types of colors over each other in a very short span of time, the colors will have the chance to blend in with each other very well. So in this case, it really looks nice. I don't see a lot of streaks, and it just I just love the feeling of it, you know, the vibrancy and the cartoonish feeling that it has. So I'm done with this one, and I am almost about ready to start showing you how the markers are used on the Bristol paper, or more or less how it is absorbed on Bristol paper. Now, like I said, Bristol paper, very sturdy paper, a lot thicker than the marker paper, and therefore it allows you to also work differently on it. I'm using the same set of markers, I'm just using a different type of illustration and also a different type of paper. So let's start. Now, like I said before, for this illustration and next part of the video, I'm using Bristol paper. Now, Bristol paper has a very smooth surface. It is white and very sturdy. The marker paper had like an off-white type of color and is a lot more loose. It has very thin, it's a very thin type of paper. Now, the Bristol paper doesn't absorb the ink that fast. And because it doesn't absorb the ink that fast, I also believe, like with marker paper, it has the ability to really let the colors blend with each other really nicely. It also has a different appearance than what I would see with the marker paper. Again, it doesn't leave a lot of streaks. It gives a really smooth type of appearance, and it's just really nice to work with. Bristol paper can be compared to using a piece of cardboard, but then like the thinnest type of cardboard that you're using. I think that is a really good description for the Bristol paper. And as I showed before, it doesn't really absorb it that much, as you can see. So I can use a lot of ink, I can use a lot of color and blend the colors with each other at any given moment of time. And again, I'm not using a blender. I'm not using a different type of marker that will allow me to blend the colors with each other so that you will see another type of color coming out of it. I'm just using these set of markers that I used in the beginning with this illustration. fun part about this illustration is that I'm using the colors in a totally different way because of the different type of illustration that I'm using. I'm drawing here a mouth, and just to highlight and give some shading and depth to this illustration, I only have the markers that I'm using in this illustration, and that is the beauty of it. There are really no rules when it comes to making your type of illustration. You can go as crazy or as subtle as you want to. So for the lips, the inner lips, I'm just using the gold color and also the orange color, and for the outline I'm using the brown colors, just to give a little bit of shading, give it an outline, and giving it more of depth instead of this flat type of illustration. And as you can see again, the paper is now starting to absorb the ink. The more that I use it, the more it now will absorb the ink. Now there are two things that I want to say about the illustrations that I've made. One, I did not use any references. Whatever came to my mind, that is what I just started to draw. Normally I do use references. I do try to train myself to create things that are coming into my mind and really visualize the image that I want to put on paper. So in this case, it really worked out for me to just visualize it and put it on paper as I wanted it to be. In other cases, I do use references, but I do not stick to the reference into detail. So sometimes I tweak it, and sometimes I tweak it a lot and use it just as a inspiration for anything that I make. Another thing about the illustration is I only use the markers that I had, near me. So you can create any type of illustration that you want and create the depth and vibrancy that you need. Okay, so this is the final of the video, and what you can see here on the right side is the illustration that I made on marker paper, and on the left side is the illustration that I made on Bristol paper. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making the video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me on social media or just sending a good old-fashioned email, as I like to call it. I'd like to see you at the next video, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel or any other social media platforms that I'm on. See you next time. Bye bye.